right now we're trying to revive everything. But as you see, as we're walking up, it's all disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to revive something like what we're doing. And again, it's getting harder and harder for us to find places like this where it's left alone. And we know that they're going to log it because they have the tape markings on all these areas.
You can see them as you're walking.
And in recent years, we've been going further and further back to try to find what we utilize for our teachings, our traditional culture that we want to show. And we brought some family members up here a few weeks ago, a couple of nephews, and they go, "This is what you do, Uncle? Yes. Auntie? Yes, this is what we do." And
we come out really often during this time, in the 6-week period, and I always say that it's my favorite time of the year. It really is. It makes me happy out here. It fills me up, and we go with family members, but mostly we're by ourselves, and it's, I don't know, but it just brings us closer than we already are, and we have a pattern now. When my kids were young, it was mostly me pulling the bark and my brothers, and now I've become a little bit spoilt because he pulls the bark and I split the outer bark off. Yay, sweets. We came out, what was our first time? 3 weeks ago when we went out, and it came off so beautifully, and I got so excited, and he was like, "Do you not get like the sockeye fever now, like you're fishing?" I was like, "Yes, it's ready."
what fever?
Yeah.
We want to thank the Creator for this day. Thank you for getting us here. Thank you for showing and teaching our knowledge, our culture, our heritage, our history. It's a great pleasure to do stuff like this, and especially on a day like this. Beautiful day. Some days the ravens are around, the eagles. We see the odd owl. We seen a black bear the other day just down the road. You see signs of elk and deer, so you're safe.
Yeah.
Makes you feel safe.
It does.
So we'll put this on the bottom of the tree. And again, we want to thank you guys for joining us today and being with us today. My late mother, before she passed away, she used to say that when you're down, you're depressed, she said, go up on the hillside and find the biggest cedar tree. All the things you try to leave with the tree, and they'll exhume it and take it up the branches and let it go. You know, she was in residential school for about 10 years. She still remembered a lot. But this is about the size we're looking for, a little bigger. And you're always looking around, looking for clear spots, branches, no branches. Usually you're trying to do the top side so you can pull uphill. It's easier because you can't go down.
Yeah.
When you're going down, it goes higher and your arms go higher and higher up, and it's harder to pull.
And you'll see that's about 2 hands wide, and that's as wide as we'll take off this tree. Otherwise, all the sap runs out of it, and the tree will die.
I'm trying to go up higher so you have a good running start when it starts peeling.
Okay, so once your strip is down, you're gonna put your knife in, and you're gonna split the outer bark off the inner bark. So when the bark separates beautifully like this, the outer bark off the inner bark, you know that this is the perfect time of the year to be gathering. If the sap wasn't running this nice, it would stick. You would have a really hard time taking it off, and sometimes you'd have to chip away with your knife. When you're a beginner, you learn after the first year or so that, hey, I don't want to spend all my time doing that, so I'll wait another couple of weeks to make sure the sap's running and there's not any pitch left in the inner bark. If it's having a hard time coming off, the outer bark having a hard time coming off, then often you'll have pitchy inner bark. And then with the cedar, we're going to make some hats and mats and baskets of all different shapes and sizes, and little woven frogs and rope, regalia. We do a lot of regalia, cedar capes. And sometimes you can spin your cedar bark into your wool as well for your Salish weaving. So many things that we make. The imagination can just go wild when you're weaving with bark on what you want to make. I think it's over that way, that one. One anyway. Okay, it's gonna come down.
The tree of life, right? Does everything for you. Your home, your weapons, tools, your canoes, you name it. There could be a thousand different things that you can use this tree for, and we even use it for heron eggs. So we cut the branches off when it's the season that just passed, the spawn, and we put it in the water, and they would spawn on the branches and they would pull them up, and sometimes they'd use whole trees. So it's very versatile, and it's utilized in so many different ways. It's just amazing, and that's why we're thankful to the tree. We're thankful to our ancestors who passed down the teachings and the knowledge so that we can do this ourselves, and hopefully we can pass it on to the next generations who are willing to learn.
This is my favorite color, this burgundy in here. I love that color. And when you gather your roots, they have the same color as this burgundy. While I'm waiting for my bark to come off to be able to split the outer bark off, I gather the Oregon grape. I just dyed some wool last week in the most beautiful yellow with this. So we're not just out here gathering bark, sometimes there's medicine plants out here in the moss, like the rattlesnake plantain, or there's the nice Oregon grape just waiting here. And it's really, really strong. The color is really strong at this time of the year, when the new shoots are coming up and all the new growth. Yeah. See, look at that color. Ah.
Wow, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah. So sometimes he's like, what are we doing out here? Because I'm sidetracked. For me, it's the most fulfilling thing, and I feel connected to my grandmother who taught us so much. We were with her every day, and it always makes me emotional when I talk about her and everything that she taught us. But I think it's the weirdest thing. It's like I can feel her, and it fills me up, and I feel rich, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that in this world that we still get to do what our people did for thousands of years. And the bark, sometimes when you touch it, it's like you can feel that sap running and the energy, and it's the most amazing feeling. And I don't like to share that with a lot of people, because sometimes people think you're crazy about how you are so connected to something, but it's a living being, and it saddens me sometimes for the amount of logging, but we understand that also. But on the other hand, when we're teaching those children in our nation, and those little 8-year-old girls that are weaving and they have that knack for them, it's just in them, I think, are there going to be trees left for them? Are we going to be able to keep, people say practicing our culture, but no, are we going to be able to keep, doing our way of life that we've done forever? And I think what will happen to the fish and the cockles and the cedar, and will it just all be, concrete, and are our resources going to be gone? So it's emotional sometimes when you're out here and you think about all of that and what's going to happen to our world and for our children and for our grandchildren. I mean, we're going to be grandparents soon in October. He's going to have his first grandchild, and will that grandchild have that same experience? Will it have that same way of life? Is somebody going to bring him or her out here and show them? And when you turn into a young man or a young woman to have those ceremonies that are supposed to be done out here, will that happen? So for me, not only basket weaving and cedar stripping and Salish loom weaving and all that we do goes in this big circle, but I get scared sometimes that maybe it won't. That maybe coming out of residential school and everybody having that desire to learn and to know, will it just all disappear because we won't have the resources anymore? So, but mostly I'm happy out here.